Welcome to Beyond a Happy Marriage. I'm Arcadius.
And I'm Monica.
If you are striving for something deeper than just a happy marriage,
if you want a relationship that's truly transformative, that leads to intentional living,
then this podcast is for you.
We are absolutely delighted to bring our conversations to English-speaking couples around the world. Hi, welcome to the new episode. Today I want to talk about something that affects most women, but that we rarely discuss openly. Before I start, I have a question for you. Do you ever feel like a completely different person the week before your period? Tired, hungry, irritable? And then your period arrives and you think, oh right, here we go again. If so, you're not alone. And today, I'm going to tell you something that might change how you think about what's happening in your body. Because it turns out we've been told lies about PMS for years. So, get comfortable, because here we go. Let's start with the basics. PMS, premenstrual syndrome, is a set of symptoms that appear about 1 or 2 weeks before your period. The symptoms can vary. Physical ones like bloating, breast tenderness, headaches, fatigue. Emotional ones like irritability, sadness, anxiety. And finally, behavioral ones. For example, difficulty concentrating or sleep problems. Research tells us that between 30 and 80% of women experience some form of PMS. That's a huge number, right? But now listen, because here is the most important thing that I want you to remember today. PMS is not your fault. It doesn't mean you're broken or too sensitive. For years, women have been told, it's just hormones. Get used to it. But new research shows something completely different. Women with PMS don't have bad hormones. They're simply more sensitive to the normal hormonal changes that happen in every cycle. In other words, your body isn't broken. It's trying to tell you something. Now I'm going to tell you something that really annoys me, but in a good way, because it's changing. Dr. Sarah Hill, who wrote the book The Period Brain, explained this really simply. For decades, science ignored the second half of the menstrual cycle. All the research, all the health advice, all the nutritional recommendations were based either on men or on the first half of women's cycle, the follicular phase, when estrogen is high. And what about the second half, when progesterone rises and estrogen drops? Silence. It's like watching only half a film and thinking you understand the whole story. So when you felt awful before your period, you were following advice that simply didn't match what was happening in your body at that time. No wonder it didn't work. And the best part is, the second half of the cycle, that luteal phase, changes your needs completely. For example, listen to this. In the luteal phase, you burn up to 11% more calories. 11%! So when you feel like eating more, you're not weak. Your body needs more energy. It's biology, not a lack of willpower. And speaking of progesterone, if you listened to the previous episode, you'll remember we talked about how progesterone works like a natural anti-anxiety medication. Why? Because when you ovulate and produce progesterone, your body converts it into a substance called allopregnanolone. That sounds complicated, but remember, it like this. Allopregnanolone works in the brain like natural Xanax. It calms you down, helps you sleep, reduces anxiety. This is one of the reasons why healthy ovulation and progesterone production are so important for your well-being. But let's get back to PMS and what you can do about the symptoms. Right, now let's get into the specifics, because this really gets very interesting. Scientists Brown and colleagues published a groundbreaking systematic review in 2024 in Nutrition Research Reviews. They analyzed 28 different studies, nearly 2,621 women in total, and checked whether specific nutrients could help with menstrual symptoms. And guess what? They can. And how? The outcomes are really impressive. First, magnesium and calcium. When you combine them, they don't just help, they actually outperform placebo in reducing pain. The researchers checked this across multiple studies, and the results was consistent. Magnesium acts as a transit pathway for electrolytes. What does that mean? It means it helps your cells communicate with each other. And your sex hormones have a direct impact on magnesium. When you're deficient in magnesium, you get muscle cramps, anxiety, inflammation. All of this can worsen PMS symptoms. The second supplement, vitamin D. This was one of the most interesting findings. One study in this review showed that weekly supplementation with high-dose vitamin D significantly reduced menstrual pain, but especially in women who had a vitamin D deficiency to start with. What does this tell us? That it's worth testing your levels. Because if you are deficient, supplementing it can really change your experience of your cycle. Third one, zinc. This really impressed me. Zinc reduced both physical and psychological PMS symptoms. Not just one type of symptom, both. How does it work? Zinc supports microcirculation. That's blood flow in small vessels. It prevents inflammation. And it lowers something called inflammatory cytokines. These are small molecules that contribute to menstrual pain. So zinc works on multiple levels at once. Finally, curcumin, this yellow substance from turmeric that you use in curries. In multiple studies, it significantly reduced the severity of PMS symptoms. Scientists think it's because of its powerful anti-inflammatory action. So what's great about curcumin? You can easily add it to your diet through food, drinks like golden milk, which I really recommend, or supplements. Now the best part, and this is something I really want you to remember. Of those 28 studies, 23 showed positive effects. 5 showed no change, but none, do you hear me? None of the studies worsened symptoms. No negative effect were reported. This means these nutritional interventions are safe. Of course, always consult your doctor before starting supplementation if you take other medication. I need to mention something more serious too, PMDD. PMDD stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's a more intense version of PMS that really disrupt daily life. We're talking about serious mood swings, depression, suicidal thoughts. If you feel your symptoms before your period are really severe, don't ignore it. This isn't just PMS. PMDD is a real medical diagnosis and treatments are available. Research shows that almost 70% of women with depression or bipolar disorder have worse symptoms premenstrually. That's a huge percentage. If you suspect this might be your case, please talk to a doctor. It's worth tracking your symptoms daily for 2 cycles so your doctor can see the pattern. There are effective therapies, from antidepressants dosed only in the second half of the cycle to natural support like saffron extract, which shows promising results in studies. You don't have to suffer alone. Right, now the practical part. What can you do to feel better? First, nutrition and supplements. Based on the systemic review by Brown and colleagues, here are the specific doses that were studied. Magnesium, about 300 milligrams daily. The best is magnesium bisglycinate, because the glycine is bound to also helps with insulin resistance. Take it directly after food. Next, zinc, 30 milligrams daily, but always after a large meal. On an empty stomach, it can cause nausea. Vitamin D. First, test your levels. If you are deficient, usually around 2,000 international units daily is recommended. Curcumin. You can take it as a supplement or simply add more turmeric to your food in the form of golden milk to coffee or tea. It's a great way to get increase this daily consumption. Calcium. You can combine it with magnesium for better effect. And remember, the Brown study reported no negative effects. But doesn't mean you can take everything without monitoring. It's always good to consult with a doctor, especially if you are already taking any medications. Second point. Eat more in the second half of your cycle. Remember, you burn up to 11% more calories. Your body needs more fuel. This isn't a lack of willpower. It's biology. When you nourish these increased needs, instead of fighting them, symptoms often decrease. Third, movement, but on your terms. In the luteal phase, you might feel more tired, and that's normal. Don't force yourself into intense workouts if your body is saying no. Maybe try Pilates, walking, gentle stretching instead. Fourth, herbs. Dr. Lara Brydon, the author of Period Repair Manual, often recommends Vitex, also called chasteberry. It's a herb that supports hypothalamus function and helps regulate hormones. What's interesting is that Vitex contains opiate-like constituents that calm the nervous system. That's one reason it's effective for PMS. And fifth, inflammation. Many of the nutrients from the Brown study work by reducing inflammation. So apart from supplements, think about anti-inflammatory foods in your diet. Fatty fish, nuts, seeds, leafy greens, berries, spices like turmeric and ginger. And you know what's most important in all this? Changing how you think. All our lives, we've been told that PMS is something you have to push through, that it's normal suffering, that we are too emotional, too sensitive. But the truth is, your symptoms aren't a defect. They are information. Your body is saying, hey, I need more magnesium. That's why I'm craving for chocolate. I need more rest. Or, this stress level is too high. I don't have enough progesterone to produce that calming allopregnanolone. And you see, when you start listening to your body and supporting it with what it needs, instead of fighting it, everything changes. the Brown study showed us something beautiful. When you nourish deficiencies, support natural processes, and work with your biochemistry instead of against it, transformation becomes possible. 23 out of 28 studies showed positive results. That's not a coincidence. That's your body responding to proper support. And one more thing. This is bigger than just you. It's about demanding that the world finally recognizes women's full cycle. Not just the convenient first half of it. That science, medicine, workplaces, everything accommodates our biological realities. The world wasn't designed for your luteal phase. So let's help redesign it. Right, we're coming to the end of today's episode. I want you to remember a few things. First, you're not broken. Your symptoms are real, and you deserve the support. Second, there are tools based on solid scientific research that can help. Magnesium, calcium, zinc, vitamin D, curcumin. All these nutrients have been through studies involving thousands of women, and the results are clear. They work, and they are safe. Third, if your symptoms are really severe, talk to your doctor. You might have PMDD, and treatments are available. And fourth, your body is wise. Listen to it. When it produces progesterone and that wonderful allopregnanolone that calms you, that's your natural support system. When it asks for more food in the luteal phase, that's a real biological need. So my final question, what change will you make in your next cycle? Maybe you will start with magnesium or testing your vitamin D levels. If this episode was helpful for you, share it with a friend who might need to hear this. More information and links to studies can be found at natprofam.com. Until next time, take care of yourself and remember, you deserve to feel good all month long, not just half of it. Bye.